Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next session at Nearbound Summit. This session is called How Are PRMs Doing It Wrong? It's brought to you by Allbound. Allbound we are a PRM vendor, as many of you know. We're actually sponsors for this session as well. And Justin is in the chat if you'd like to have more information about Allbound and what we do. So there are two of us on this call. I'll introduce Ornella in a second. I just want to kind of set the stage for the next 25 minutes or so. A bit of a provocative title, How Are PRMs Doing It Wrong? Especially given that that's coming from a PRM vendor. But you know, the aim over this next few minutes is to really share with you some of the experiences that we're going through as a PRM provider, and listening to some of the feedback that we're getting from our customers in terms of how things are changing in the partnership landscape. So I'm going to give you kind of my perspective. I'm the CMO of Allbound. So I'll give you some perspective, having been in the channel for 15 plus years, implemented several PRMs and seen the evolution of PRM technology over the years. And I don't think ever have I seen an opportunity for PRM to be a more innovative category than today with the emergence of the ecosystem. And there are some very telling signs that are showing that opportunity to be true. So I'll talk a little bit about my perspective coming from a CMO, but that's the boring bit, right? The really interesting bit is Ornella here, who is one of our engagement specialists, and she deals with Allbound customers all the time and can talk directly from the cold face, as it were, some of the challenges that some of our PRM customers are facing. Ornella, could you just introduce yourself, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, please?
Of course. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. So I'm an senior engagement manager in Allbound, where I help our customer outline and implement successful engagement strategy. So engagement is the key word here. During the last 18 months, I worked with many partnership leaders across all industries, regions, and across any type of partnership types, which obviously helped me understand and identify what works and what doesn't work with PRM. And from what Pete was saying, we're going to focus a lot on what doesn't work with PRMs right now.
Thanks, Ornella. Yeah, no, this is going to be fun. And like I say, Ornella, this won't be a Q&A session with you, right? We'll have an interactive conversation, guys. Out there, you may have questions for us as we progress. Feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll see if we can get to them in the time that we have. So let me just set this up. Are PRMs getting it wrong? Well, what I would say is, I think there is an opportunity for PRMs to be more innovative, more disruptive than we have been. And like I say, this is coming from a PRM vendor, right? But we, and I'm sure many other PRM vendors are seeing this change now, right? We're all seeing this change. I've done direct acquisition as well as partnership acquisition. And as we all know, direct is really difficult, right? And that's been one of the catalysts that has really pushed the emergence of this ecosystem model. But if you think about, for those of you out there that are familiar with PRM technology, how it evolved, it's evolved primarily in what I would call the hub and spoke model of partnerships, right? Where you have the vendor, you have the partner, and then you have the partner's customers and prospects. And the aim of PRM tech was to enable the vendor to almost convert the partner or reseller into an extension of their sales team. So they can go out and sell their stuff to their customers. But there wasn't a direct line of sight between the vendor and the customer. Often it was just relied on, right? You go sell and register a deal in our PRM, and then we can invoice, we can take care of who gets paid what and what percentages are paid, etc. And that's what happens. Now that's been tremendously successful model. A lot of most B2B commerce is probably conducted that way. But with the emergence of this ecosystem model now pushed by the challenges of direct, we're seeing more of an equitable situation develop now, right? One of the challenges that I always saw with the traditional hub and spoke model was this assumed hierarchy between vendor and partner. In fact, Ornella and I were talking about this today. We don't even really call them vendors and partners, Ornella, right? It's businesses and businesses. There is no assumed hierarchy, but there used to be in the past, right? Now, with co-sell, with Nearbound, you do have that line of sight from the vendor to the customer, but the partner, quote, partner or advocate, is still in there. And from selling through, we are now selling with. It's much more collaborative. Now, this has implications for PRM technology, and I think there's an opportunity for PRM to get this very right or very wrong. And we're kind of learning as we go how to accommodate this ecosystem opportunity. But there is no doubt that we're seeing this pivot from this hub and spoke model to this equitable kind of mesh of interconnected businesses. And that mesh, what connects those businesses is relationships. And what technology is out there that is best suited to managing and assisting with relationships? I would argue that's probably PRM. PRM kind of almost reinvented to kind of its second phase. So that's where we see it. We'll go into some examples of where we see that. But when we think about kind of what we need to consider as important in managing relationships and the ecosystem model, is the concept of equality is really, really important. The concept of experience, a stellar experience on both sides, is really important. And engagement, obviously, we all know engagement is important on both sides too. So I'll set that up. And then, Ornella, I'll start with a question for you in terms of your experience working with all of our customers here. Everything I've just talked about in terms of that change, right? People looking for more than just deal registration and kind of sales education and onboarding and things like that. They're important features, but what are we missing? What else are customers looking for?
So there's definitely been a shift in the conversation, which I noticed even just in the last 18 months. So even for me, the last 18 months have been a journey, because we had to change the tone of the conversation we were having with our customers, both new and existing. Even nowadays, with existing customer, I can see that a lot of the conversations are around how do we revamp, revisit, and review the existing portal to make sure it aligns with the new approach we're having to partnership. And we're moving a lot from we need a tool to register deals to we need a one-stop shop where the partner gets the whole experience from the beginning to the end, even though it's never the end, because it's an everlasting experience, hopefully, with your partner. And I think what PRMs can do wrong, if they don't keep up with the shifting conversation, they don't change the conversation. So it's something that we had to do ourselves. So trying to move away from discussing those features and just be like, go and use the deal registration and discuss things more about what your partner journey look like. Have you thought about your partner journey? Have you thought about your onboarding process? Have you thought about what success looks like for your partner? Have you prioritized that? So we've been having more and more conversation around that because our customer wants to offer that holistic experience. They want to make sure the portal shows partner centricity, which is the most important things. It's been a journey for us. And I think how we're trying to shift that conversation was to focus way more on partner engagement, because we do believe that's where the value of the PRM is not in a feature in the deal registration, but it's not even in setting up the most perfect PRM. The value is in your partner engagement. What I always tell my customer, we can set up the most perfect portal, but if your partners are not using it, what's the point? And I guess that's why one way we had to address that was to create a function, the engagement manager, that would focus just on that. And so, yeah, it's been interesting. It's definitely been a journey, and I'm not saying we got there, but we're trying to keep up with the conversation.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Ornella. I think it's really interesting that when you think about even Allbound as a company, if we think about all of the touch points that we've implemented to enable us to acquire our own customers, the customer journey all the way through from first touch, all the way through to post signing the contract, implementation, onboarding, all of that is so meticulously managed. And that doesn't seem to be, in most cases, the case when it comes to partners. And that's, enabling a partner successfully gives you access to a huge amount of opportunity, right? A huge opportunity for scale. And we, that often kind of isn't yet found in partnerships. I just want a couple of questions here. I really like, is channel becoming a legacy word from Jill? I think, Jill, back to my comment on channel kind of assumes kind of a literally a channel, and it's not, it's open now. So no, I don't like to use the word channel anymore. Like I say, we try not to use the word partner. We just have to sometimes because it's easier to say and we have to differentiate. But that partner is also a business that probably has other partners. So why call them a partner? They're a business. Businesses doing business with businesses. That's what co-sell is all about. Ornella, coming back to kind of pulling on some of your kind of experiences here then. So you're saying that kind of the partner experience is really important. But how do you how do you do that, right? You can't just tell partners to go into your PRM. And I know that we've been working on this for a lot on the partner experience for a long time with a lot of people, but how do you do it?
So I don't think there is one size fits all, but for sure, changing the approach will help. And I think coming from a customer success background, for me was obvious to use the same approach I would use with my customer to partnership. So that's where I was coming from when I started helping our customer with this whole engagement piece. And it's quite easy because, as you keep saying, and I do think it's true, these are all business relationships. It doesn't matter if it's supplier, customer, or if partner. These are business relationships. So I think it's just obvious that, you put your partner at the center of everything. You show partner centricity. You don't think in terms of what success looks to you, but you think in terms of what success looks to your partners. You understand what your partners need, what are their requirements, their needs. And I think when you make this switch, it's when you start focusing on the relationship and not on the revenue anymore. And when you start exactly how you would do with customer, when you start focusing on the relationship, nurturing the relationship, understanding what they need, then the revenue part will come naturally. So I come up, and as I work through a lot of partnership programs with many of our customers, that we're facing the same challenge, because that's what I find interesting. We're trying to label and segment partnership program in terms of partnership types, but in the end, it doesn't matter. Everybody's facing the same challenges. And I come up with this very simple system that's been helping a lot of customers, and I call them the 3 S's, which is a conversation that I like to have at the very beginning with our customer. Even before, usually I tell them, let's take the PRM away from the equation. Let's just talk about what you're trying to achieve. And so the 3 S's are segmentation, success, and strategy. So segmentation, you need to identify who are your partners. You need to segment your partner base. And there are many ways to do that. The most obvious would be partner type. But my suggestion is think in terms of what are their needs, what are their requirements, and segment them according to those. Once you know who are your partners and what they need, it will be so much easier to identify what success looks to them. So don't think in terms of success look to you, because probably it would be revenue. Think in terms, how do I make my partner successful? Because if they're successful, you are successful. So once you have the segment of your partners, and then you know what success will like for them, then you can strategize. You can actually outline how you're going to enable them, how you're going to empower them. Obviously, the PRM would be the tool that is going to help you achieve that. But even the PRM needs to be segmented. So, like unique user experience, unique partner journey, to make sure everything is relevant to them. And they keep coming back to the PRM. They keep coming back to you, to your product, to your services. So there's been the shift that I try to do with my customer, and it does work. And I can see with the customers, like one of my customers is NFON, and they've been very focused on the segmentation, and the results have been incredible because they work globally through region, languages, different type of partnership, different challenges, and the key of the success has been segmentation. So that's just one of the many examples.
Great. Thanks, Ornella. That's great, and I've seen that in action, and it works. I've seen the response to folks when you talk through the 3S method with them. So if I get this right, then, so where PRMs could be getting it wrong is this kind of this prior focus on how do I make money out of partners. And we all know that is not the way the ecosystem is going to work, right? This is all about nurturing relationships. I think that's the same in normal human life, right? You nurture good relationships and good things come out of that. So let's not be focused on the commercials. Let's be focused on the relationship. How do you know then, using, kind of PRM technology, any PRM, not just ours, are there any kind of signals using technology maybe that can give you an idea of an engaged partner? And a partner that wants to collaborate with you?
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of any software, of using technology. You have data, and once you have data, you can make data-driven decision, which I think we can all agree is the right way to go. So, and we do have a customer that talk to that. One of our customers is Camunda, and I think I saw Pedro somewhere on the chat. And it's something that be like very vocal about the fact that having a PRM in place help them analyze the data and move forward with data-driven approach. Obviously, again, every partnership, every business is different. So usually we have the conversation at the beginning with our customer because we want to identify metrics to be able to measure them. You need to start at the point. Otherwise, you'll never have a threshold. But it can be anything from user retention, because obviously, if user keep going to the platform, they're engaged. It can be learning progression. Are they completing learning modules? Or one of my favorite is, are they sharing the marketing material you're producing? Because in my eyes, if a sales rep is sharing marketing material with a prospect, is working deals, is really using all the tools you offering them, or content engagement in general. But obviously, at the end of the day, I think I'm a big fan of data, but I also think that you always need to keep that direct conversation going on and to talk to your partners. Because again, we can create the most perfect content, but if it doesn't work with your own partners, what's the point? So get their feedback, get them involved, actually ask them, what do you want to see? What do you want us to produce for you? How can we help you? And that's something that I was telling Peter before. I love automation, and I think everything that can automate should be automated, because we should leave channel account manager time to have those important conversations, like what's your feedback? How can I help you be successful? And I think the PRM would help you do that.
Yeah, so I think there's an opportunity going forward for PRM or maybe BRM, like business relationship management, to have, it's not just kind of partners going in there and doing what they do, but in the spirit of Nearbound and co-sell, is to actually have sales and marketing from the vendor company in the PRM BRM system too, so that they can help kind of enable the other businesses to advocate on their behalf, and vice versa. So there's opportunities for other cohorts to be in a PRM that traditionally haven't been in there. I'm very conscious that we've only got 5 minutes left. This time has gone so quickly. Let's get to brass tacks, right? None of us would be doing this if it wasn't for the commercial benefits, mutual commercial benefits of doing it, right? Have we seen, Ornella, in your experience working with Allbound customers, the correlation between engagement and a good partner experience with good mutual commercials?
Yes, definitely. Because obviously in the moment we said focus on the relationship and on the revenue, we're not being naive. It's not just rhetoric. We said that because we truly believe that's how you're gonna, we know we all here to, for the revenue. We want our businesses to do well. But there is a correlation between engagement and revenue. One of our customer, Keeper Security, has been very vocal about the correlation they've seen. And when you see the data, it's very obvious. And if you think about it, just even if you think about one of the main challenges everybody has with their partnership program, to stay top of mind of your partners, because they work with different vendors, so they need to keep choosing you. And an engaged partner is a partner that will always think of you first whenever they're doing a deal. So even just that simple correlation show you how it's important, how it's important to keep your partner engaged, to see that the revenue grow. So definitely there is a big correlation, and I bet that most of our customers that are working on engagement can go to their channel insight and see it in the data.
Excellent. I've got two more questions for you, and then I'll wrap up in the time that we have. There's a lot of talk out there about incentives, gamification, honor leveling, all of that stuff. Like, have you seen those activities play a role in in engagement and experience?
Yes, and I noticed a lot more interest in the last few months, but I think that's a direct result of how the conversation changed, because in the moment you put first the engagement, you also need to ask yourself, how do I keep this partner motivated? How do I incentivize this partner to get back to the PRM, to come back to the to me as a partner? And funny enough, the other day I was talking with a customer that was telling us that they had to stop their incentive program, and in 6 months they saw a massive drop in the deal registered. So clearly, humans are quite simple. We all need to be incentivized to do something. And it's even more important when you think that partners, like, they're not your employer, the employees, they need to choose to work with you. So they need to be incentivized. And I know most people think about, money as incentivization, which of course drive all of us to do better. But I think there are so many ways to, you can be very creative. And again, that goes back to segmentation and success. Think about who are your partners, what they need to be successful, and what would work to motivate and incentivize them. So again, it's not one size fits all. You need to really think, what is going to motivate my partner? But also something I was asking Peter this morning, because obviously he's the marketing guy, the communication. I know so many customers are spending resources and money in this amazing incentive program, but then they don't communicate very well to their partner that there is an incentive program. And I think it's important, communicate to your partner, you spending money in all these tools, not just the PRM, all these tools to actually make because you care so much about your partner, you want to make them successful. You need to tell them, show the value constantly. If you have an incentive plan in place, tell your partner, because that's great. That shows how much, the partner centricity of your business.
Excellent. Well, that's really well said. I wanted to kind of wrap up this very quick session. just like pointers out there again, just from our experience. We've talked about the importance of equity, and I can't understate that. It's human psychology to, certainly for me anyway, to go back to the old model of like, I want to enable you to be like me kind of thing. And although that model it is going to stick around, don't get me wrong, but the excitement is in this collaboration, and I think that not just PRM technology, but other partner stack technologies need to evolve to accommodate that. But we talked about equity, not assuming a hierarchy. Don't assume that technology alone is going to fix the problem. We don't really sell PRM technology. We sell relationship building. That's what we do. That's our direction going forward, and that's a combination of people and technology. Not implement the platform and they will come. It just doesn't happen that way. You need continuous engagement, but you do need technology to execute those experience kind of activities. We talked about the 3 S's. I think that's great kind of guide and methodology, Ornella, to do that. Yeah. If you had kind of one thing to state in terms of, because all of the experiences you've been through and implementing so many customers now, is the one thing that you'd want these guys to take away from in terms of kind of looking at PRM technology for the future, for the ecosystem?
I think, and it's something that I keep telling my customer, and I think it applies to everything, keep it simple I feel sometimes my customer tend to self-sabotage themselves, make it very complicated. So obviously always keep in mind that the more complex you make processes, the less likely your partner are going to follow them. But also you're going to make your life harder. Sometimes, I mean, all the time, less is more. Yeah, so just keep it simple and you'll see the results.
Yeah, I was thanks, Ornella. I just want to end on one kind of interesting kind of way of looking at this future of PRM tech, right? And it's probably a direction that we'll be going in at some point. Is if you think about PRM, one of the challenges with PRM is that the vendor is kind of almost kind of forcing partners to use vendors are forcing partners to use multiple portals, right? So as a partner, I may be doing business with 5 or 6 different companies using 5 or 6 different portals. So I have to go into different portals to access, you know, kind of my deals, my training, etc. That in itself is unequitable, right? That's why should the partner or the other business have to do that? What if it was the other way around? What if all of the kind of portal providers out there kind of integrated into one single pane of glass, so the partner themselves can go in and be educated in product X using portal Y, product partner A using portal B. Why can't we have that same consolidation of partnership data and single pane of glass view that we have with CRM? I think that's a very exciting direction that PRM could go in, and one of the things that we're looking at now. I think that I'm being told that that's about time, guys, which is a shame because we could have talked about this all night. But look, it looks like there's been lots and lots of engagement, guys. Really appreciate it. I think it was great hearing from you from the front lines of what's going on out there. And stay tuned, guys. We're going to be doing stuff. We have a webinar coming up on gamification pretty soon, which is really interesting. And we'll continue to share with you our progression through this PRM evolution. So yeah, thank you for your time, guys, and enjoy Nearbound Summit.
Thank you, guys.